What's up? It's Lerald. Alright, so I don't have a warrior update today because PoB still hasn't been updated, and if you want to play warrior, I cannot recommend it highly enough. It is blasting. Had a lot of people tell me, actually, it's not going to be good once you get to high level content, and actually, you're not having fun. And those people were all 100% wrong. I'm blasting everything. I haven't hit a wall at all. Anytime I started to feel like I was going to get to a wall, I upgraded my gear and then continued destroying everything. With that being said, there's really not any way to do a warrior update, like a PoB update without PoB being updated first. So I wanted to talk about something that'll apply to a lot more people than just warrior players, and that would be currency making, because everybody wants to make a lot of divine orbs and exalted orbs at the start of the league, right? So without any further ado, let's just go ahead and get right into it. But first, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and join our Discord as well. We're very close to 1,000 members now, and that's really a big milestone we're trying to hit. Alright, so let's talk about passive points. I'm still working on unlocking all of mine. If you haven't played since early on in Dawn of the Hunt, this was actually made a lot easier. It was changed throughout Dawn of the Hunt to be just a lot less painful of a mechanic. So the way that it works now is, as you move around throughout the map and you find these corrupted areas, I don't really have any great ones on the map right now because I've done all the ones I could see, but there'll be the areas that are kind of indicated with the red coral. You could see corruption swirling around this tower. You can kind of see them throughout the mist. So as you go and clear the corrupted nexus areas within the map, each time you do so, you will get a tome that gives you 5 passive points. As you can see, I have 19 points, so I've only done 3. I've only gotten 15 points from that. I'm already blasting tier 15 and tier 16 maps, but for whatever reason, I just can't find any corruption nexuses, right? So that's how you get 30 of the 40 points. The other 10 points come from doing unique maps, and unique maps are kind of indicated by this little brown triangle, and you have to do 5 different unique maps. They do have to be different. I think Untainted Paradise, which I haven't actually run yet, does not count as one of them, but I have done the Silent Cave. I had 2 of them right next to each other. Incredibly unique. And then there is another one over here, the Fractured Lake. This is like a Lake of Calandra type of map. Like I said, I'm making my way over to this Viridian Wildwood. And so there are a lot of these different unique maps that are scattered around different biomes, kind of orient toward different biomes. The Silent Cave is always in the desert. Fractured Lake's always on water, right? Viridian Wildwood's always in a swamp or a forest. You get the idea. So you have to go around and do 5 different unique maps. You can't do the same one, like if I were to do the 2 Silent Caves next to each other, I wouldn't get points from the second one. So you get 2 points from each of the unique maps. You do all those together, you're at 40 points, and now you can fill out your whole tree. The other real main way, the thing that people have figured out throughout the process of playing PoE for 2 patches, or PoE 2 for 2 patches now, is a combination of rare monsters and towers and tablets. And so I'm going to talk about tablets here. All of the tablets have the same set of prefixes for the most part. This is just like a generic precursor tablet mod list that I'm looking at on PoE 2DB. And so the overwhelming most important mod to get on your maps or on your tablets rather, is quantity of items found in your maps. If you can get that on the prefixes, that is worth significantly more than anything else. The other mods that are pretty good though are rare monsters. More rare monsters means more... Rare monsters are pretty much what drop all the loot. Magic monsters drop some stuff, but not nearly as much as rare monsters. So the hierarchy of good prefix mods on tablets is quantity is number 1, rare monsters and rarity are both kind of number 2. Pack size and magic monsters are okay. Gold, experience gain, rare chests, all that kind of stuff are not particularly great. Now, there are different types of tablets for different mechanics, and they can have different mods on them. The prefixes are all pretty much the same. It's really just the suffixes that change, and, like expedition, whatever, you'll get expedition-related stuff on the suffixes, but the prefixes will still be the same. Now, suffixes can definitely matter. They can matter a lot, especially if you're doing kind of very high-level juicing, where you're combining different layers of delirium stuff, or usually it's breach, you're combining different layers of breaches spawn extra rare monsters, and breaches have more monster density and that kind of thing. This can be really good, but it pales in comparison to just getting as much quantity and rare monsters out of the prefixes on your tablets. There's not a ton to say about towers, but I will just mention it here that towers scale off the amount of mods that are on the maps and also the tier of the maps. I don't have any towers that I'm right up next to really show this super well, but it's very, very, very clearly indicated when you open up a tower. There will be like three options for putting in tablets, or 3 little slots for it, and depending on how many mods are on the map that you put in, it will show either, you know, like empty slots for 1, 2, or 3. And so if you have 1 mod, you'll get 1 tablet when you complete the tower. If you have 3 mods, you'll get 2 tablets. And if you have all 6 mods on the map, then you'll be able to put in 3 tablets. So the goal is long term to always do 6 mod maps so that you put in 3 tablets. The amount of maps that the tablets that you put into the tower will affect is also scaled off of the map tier. So at tier 15, it's 99% increased number of tablets, or a number of maps rather. So if you have tablet mods that affect like an even number of things, then doing it with a tier 15 will round down slightly. If you do it with a tier 16, then it will be 100%. So it will literally double the amount of things that your tablet applies to, whether that is you know, like let's say you're adding bosses with the boss tab, which is like my personal favorite. You know, this one on a tier 15 map would only affect, instead of 2 maps, it would affect 3. On a tier 16 map, it would affect 4. So the goal long term is to run tier 16 6 mod maps in all of your towers. But you know, that's like expensive. That's like a big stretch goal once you're very strong. Prior to that, 3 mod tier 15 will work. 6 mod tier 15 is great. Anything less than that is also fine, you know, do whatever you're capable of handling. All right, so that's tablets. So now let's talk about map mods. So map mods got a bit of a redesign in patch 0.3. The way that they worked before was prefixes were all good and suffixes were all bad, and so you always wanted as many prefixes as you could get, but then suffixes, not really as big of a deal. Now they work just like they do in PoE 1, where they all are bad. They all make the map harder, but they also make it more rewarding. They add sort of like different random modifiers associated with the different like downsides will also be like pack size or waystone drop chance. I think they all give waystone drop chance actually, so you know, that's fine, right? Getting more waystones is a good thing. It means more chances to find maps that don't have mods you can't run, mods that suck. Like I found that Chilled Ground is one of the most irritating mods you could possibly have, especially as a melee character. So I've really been like trying to stay away from those. The interesting thing is that like curse maps, like temp chains maps, are actually not as bad as they used to be because the map casts curses at you, so you can just dodge it. And as long as you do successfully dodge it, it doesn't suck at all. You do have to dodge though. So as you add more mods to a map, you could see like it gains more. You could see it's just going for more magic monsters, more rare monsters, you know, it's getting more rewards added onto it. Now quantity is not one of the options that can be available, but like magic monsters, rare monsters, item rarity, these are all options. Pack size can be on there. I think that might be about it. I don't see any terrible spoilers. Like I don't see gold on here. Let's just double check. Nope, gold doesn't appear to be it. Pretty much it's just like they all have waystones, and then they'll give you either rarity, rare monsters, pack size, or magic monsters. And so rare monsters and rarity really are the 2 best in terms of getting the maximum amount of reward out of your maps. And once again, that's because rare monsters drop the most stuff, and unlike in PoE 1, in PoE 2, rarity does convert into getting higher quality currency drops. This is something that is exclusive to PoE 2. Rarity will make it so that what would have maybe dropped as an Exalted Orb might now be converted up into a Divine Orb. So that's towers, that's tablets, that's maps. Now I'm going to talk about the Atlas passive tree and kind of the basic progression that I would go through. So the first 5 points that you get, you're going to want to absolutely come and take Constant Crossroads, and because at that point you're probably going to be broke as hell, I would take Fortunate Path. Now I don't really think Fortunate Path is particularly good. It basically just means there's a chance that you get a free Alch Orb applied to your map, but when you are broke as a joke, a free Alch Orb is actually like pretty helpful. From there, again, you could take the high road. Because waystones always drop as the tier of map that you're doing, this is maybe kind of a nothing bonus, but it actually means that it's like some complicated behind the scenes stuff. Basically, it does mean that you have a higher chance of getting waystones. Again, kind of some like complicated stuff though. Really not like that necessary to take. So I think you could just take like this as your opening 5 points. And then because rare monsters are where most things come from, including waystones, I would take your next 3 points into Rising Danger. And you could even come over and take Twin Threats and get that one rare monster being duplicated, which it really isn't that great, but you do get more rare monsters along the way. So I think it's pretty good. And usually for most builds, it's super easy to just blast that pair of rare monsters into dust. From there, I would then go through treasure coves. I actually really like this mod. I've gotten a lot of currency, a lot of exalts. I've gotten multiple divines from rare chests, so I actually like that a lot. And then precursor influence, just get as many tablets as you possibly can. Local knowledge is kind of an irritating node. You can take it, but in like a lot of situations like deserts and mountains, it's actually like really bad, and then sometimes it's good. And I hate having to socket it in and out. So from there, I'm just taking all the precursor stuff that I can. And then you kind of have a choice, right? So previously, taking unstable energies and trying to like do everything you could to get as many prefix modifiers as possible was like kind of the approach. That really isn't the way it works anymore. Now this is just like, you know, basically more downside and upside all the time. So I think this is good. This is good for like juicing. For like early map sustain though, I wouldn't go out of my way to get this early. I would just take like kind of the normal stuff where you're taking like rarity and quantity and just like a lot of these small little like BS nodes. I will point out these little increased monster packs nodes I think are actually pretty good. They're different from pack size. They actually mean more monsters in the maps, so I kind of like that. I don't really love Bountiful Bloodlines and all the magic pack size, but there isn't a lot of stuff that's like super great. I am taking essences in my current setup, and like that is the approach I'm going to take instead of any sort of essence or like magic monster related stuff. So I'm going to fill out pretty much all the essence nodes, and like this is ultimately what I think my early tree is going to wind up looking like. I'm going to take all the tablet stuff I can. I'm really not going to be pushing map mod effect early on very much. You know, I might wind up with a tree that looks something like this. Maybe by the time I'm at 40 points, it'll look roughly like this. I'm playing around with essences because I like them. I want to use them to craft big, smashy weapons. And so I'll link this tree, but I think if you weren't going to bother with essences and you wanted to go with just like a max juicing tree, this is the setup that I would recommend. I'm putting it in I'll put it in the description. But yeah, there you go. All of the map mod effect that you could possibly get, including unstable energies, the little bits of like rarity and quantity, all of that. Now, I will just briefly mention, I think for the most part, Essence really isn't that great. Most of the Essences aren't worth much. Mechanically, I think Essences are awesome now. I think they're really good for crafting items. I've crafted some good items myself with Essence, but in terms of actually going and killing Essence monsters and making currency out of it, most of the Essences are worth less than an Exalt. Wisps are really annoying to deal with. I don't like Wisps at all. And then I feel the same way about Strongboxes. They're both just kind of slow and irritating, so I don't really like either of those. I love Shrines, but they really aren't like great for adding a lot of value or currency to your map, so I wouldn't super duper recommend them either. And finally, Rogue Exiles. Mechanically, I like them. I think they're like, they literally can't drop currency, so they're like a terrible mechanic for making money, but I do conceptually like them a lot. All right, now let's move on to the 4 mechanic trees, and I'll just start with Breach. So this is the one that most people are going to use to make a lot of currency. This is like the Fub Gun approved mechanic, at least last I checked, and the reason is it spawns the most amount of rare monsters of any of the 4, mechanics that get their own tree. The boss is relatively easy, so it's easy to kill the boss and get your knowledge books along the way. I think they've made that whole system work a lot better. You just have to find fragments and then put them in the waygate near the starting point on the atlas. And so the progression path that you're going to want to go through is, in my opinion, this looks like to me this looks like a left hand, like back of a left hand. And so the way I would go is I would just go up the ring finger, and then I would take Grasping Hands. So like this will give you more Breach Splinters, which is good for continuing to get more points if you're trying to self-farm those at all. And then also more monster density is always good. And then I think Grasping Hands is good because more splinters, or more hands means more splinters, more magic packs near the hands is also more splinters, more guys to kill. And then Crumbling Walls is like more breaches in your maps. This can be bad for your FPS if you get that 1% proc and you get like a dozen breaches in a single map. That can actually be kind of brutal. So if you don't like that, you can just do Interdimensional Assault if you're playing a fast build, or I guess Sustained Siege if you're playing a slow build. All right, for Expedition. Expedition's kind of a whatever mechanic. I like it. I think it might actually be really good for the build that I'm playing because it is kind of like, it has really big AoE, but it kind of moves slow. So jumping into Expedition might be pretty smart. I think Detailed Records and Disturbed Rest are just both really good. You know, Disturbed Rest, Runic Monster Markers, obviously more monsters, that's good. And then more logbook, more value out of your logbooks is good. Like I do like running logbooks. That's probably what I'm going to do after I finish up with this video. So I like that. And then you kind of have the choice of this node is okay. It makes it a little faster. You get more artifacts, so you get more coins, and you get more monsters to fight. That's good. The issue is just that coins and artifacts are kind of worthless right now. So you can take this lower branch, Weight of History and Unearthed Anomalies. They're really dangerous. They have this nice multiplicative effect with each other that make them super, super, super dangerous and super rewarding. So if your build's like really tanky and strong, you could definitely do this lower branch. Otherwise, I would go with the upper branch because I think there's a lot of danger in that lower branch. I'll just hit on the boss tree. So the way that you unlock the boss tree is by killing bosses at levels above tier 15 maps, continuing to do so. And I think this is a right approach, right? You take quantity from bosses. You don't really have a lot of choices here. You have the choice of like, do I do essence or shrines or spirits or strong boxes? I think if you're doing essences, you'll take essences. Otherwise, I think shrines are better. Otherwise, I think that the top right is clearly the better approach compared to getting more XP. Then we have Delirium. I actually blasted through a Simulacrum super easily on the Warrior. I was very happy with that. Doing Simulacrum can be a bit of a pain to get all the points for Delirium, but at least getting the first 2 points for free is like really good just by doing Delirium once. Because Get Out of My Head makes it so that you will just freely get Delirium, Emotion, and Stilled Waystones in your maps. And this is amazing. This is really, really good because these can be instilled with any indie random emotions, even ones that are worth like divines, will just randomly be applied to your maps. That's super great for choosing. The only issue is as you're progressing through the campaign or through early mapping, I should say, this has a tendency to brick your progression. So I actually put this in and then I kept getting where I would get one like tier 7 map or tier 8 map, as I'm pushing up toward tier 15. It kept being delirious and it would be like super high delirium. Like I was doing like tier 7 maps that had like 85% deliriousness, so significantly harder than a blank tier 15. And yeah, that really sucked. So don't put your first 2 points there. Just put them into like slower delirium fog dissipation. The delirium fog literally takes like several minutes to dissipate. There's something wrong with it. But just do that for your first couple, and then once you're at tier 15s, you've got a good bank of maps built up. Then take Get Out of My Head because it's amazing. And then your second point should go into Would You Like to See My Face? This means more Simulacrum splinters, and it does make mirrors harder, but if you're not doing mirrors, if you're just doing emotional maps, literally no downside at all. And then again, if you're just doing just delirium emotion maps, which once you're into kind of high level farming and you have all your points allocated, that is how you're going to do all of your maps. You just take the whole left side. They're all really good. The order I would take them in once you're set up is like this branch, then the more fracturing mirrors, and then the final points, and they're coming to get you. And then Ritual is actually the mechanic I've been enjoying the most. I've gotten some really good rewards from Ritual. I think I got a Divine Orb from Ritual. I know I've gotten some like tier 19 or level 19 skill gems from it. And just some like really valuable stuff from it already. So the first points you're going to take are Ominous Portents. This makes it so your rituals are faster, which is good because Ritual is kind of slow. And you get more omens, and omens can be really valuable. Then your second points, I think, really need to go into Spreading Darkness. For Ritual Altars means more ritual tribute built up in every single map, more monsters to kill too. So very clearly, I think that's the best. Then I think Tempting Offers is really good. It costs 70 or 750 tribute to reroll instead of 1,000, and you're able to reroll another page, so you're able to see 3 pages per map instead of 2. Great for fishing for high value stuff. And then you kind of have a choice of a bunch of different options. Promise Devotion seems good, but the discount that it gives on deferring is only on the deferral fee, which is like a small component, so it's really bad. I don't think that's great unless you have something, if you deferred a mirror or something, you can spec into that until you get it back, but otherwise I think it's bad just normally. And so I think really the options are either From the Mist, which just means like more monsters. If you're not actually interested in killing the ritual, you could take this point just to have more guys to kill in your maps. Otherwise, I think He Approaches is the better option because it gives you basically more chance to re-kill rares, and that's kind of it. So in terms of like what I'm planning to do, I think my tree, like I said, I have been playing around with essences, but I think once I'm kind of done with playing around with essences and I have full 8 of 8 and full 40 of 40, this is what my trees are all going to look like. I will put this in the description, like I said. And I think my plan ultimately is to play around with Ritual for a while because I've really been enjoying it. And then I'm probably going to go into like more Expedition after that, but Ritual definitely for the next several days, and probably some Delirium as well. Definitely going to do more Simulacrums. I was surprised by how fun that actually wound up being. I was just about to start editing and I realized I forgot to mention Abyss, and I'll just say that first off, it's a great crafting mechanic. It's a really good mechanic, but there's nothing actually to set up. Sometimes it can overlap with other mechanics, and that's cool. That's part of why I like Essence, is because it can overlap in a fun way. But ultimately, you don't really have any control. So, right, you just do maps. Abyss will be there. You kill the guys, you loot them, you loot the boxes. Sometimes they'll drop stuff and you can sell it, and sometimes they won't. Good luck. All right, that's it. This patch is really great. Have fun farming maps, and good luck getting more Divines. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and join the Skipping Sleep Studio Discord so you can say hello to me and Sunset if you haven't already. And finally, thank you to all of our channel members. If you want to support us so we can keep making more PoE content, become a channel member as well. Thanks for watching. Bye.